And it's now my pleasure to introduce Noliwe Alexander. Noliwe has been a student of Vipassana meditation for over 20 years. Throughout this time of deep devotion to the Dharma, Noliwe has become a dedicated practitioner, meditation teacher of various retreats and sitting groups. Someone just letting someone in, sorry. Of sitting groups, day logs, and class series programs. She dedicates much of her Buddha Dharma practice and teachings to the BIPOC, LGBTQIA+, at-risk, and elder communities. She is a graduate of Spirit Rock's CDL4 program, EBMC's Commit to Dharma program in 2010, and is a graduate of Spirit Rock teacher training from 2017 to 2020. Noliwe is the co-founder of Peace at Any Pace, Inc., a nonprofit organization that offers a journey to healing from intergenerational and ancestral trauma retreats and elder and youth programs, which are exclusively for people from the African diaspora. Noliwe is a wisdom keeper and humbled by the presence of her ancestor spirit that lives within and walks beside her. Noliwe, it is our pleasure to have you this evening, and I invite you to please teach us.
Thank you, Ashley. Thank you so much for your welcome. Hi, everyone. Hey, all right. Yeah. I'm going to tell you just one more thing about me. I'm a mom and a grandma. I'm a wife. I am the daughter of Larry and Marge. I am the granddaughter of Maggie and Sydney, and also Elizabeth and Laverne. And I really do honor all of my ancestors who I walk in their shadow. I walk on their shoulders. I stand on their shoulders. So I never want to start a talk without actually paying that homage. I also want to honor the land that I'm on. This is unceded Chichinyo Ohlone land, also known as Oakland, California. So I'm here in the Bay Area where it's actually only 4 o'clock. So, and it's still light. And it was kind of warm today for January. I think we were like at 67 degrees. Sorry, because I know you all, a lot of the, maybe from all over, but you might be from New York, and I know it's pretty cold there. Also, I want to honor some names. I just want to put it out there. I want to honor our ancestor, Sidney Poitier, who just recently passed, John Lewis, Bell Hooks, Cicely Tyson, Bishop Deb, and so many. I don't know if you're a football fan, John Mack. There's so many people we want to honor. And also to pay homage to this Asian tradition that we're in, whether it's Theravadan or Mahayana, Zen, Tibetan. These are all ancient practices that came from Southeast Asia and Asia. And I want to be able to honor this lineage that we are in right now. So what I'd like to do is begin now with a bit of a guided meditation. And this evening for you, we're going to do a guided meditation on the elements. So if you would just find a comfortable seated position, or if you want to be lying down, that's fine too, or standing. All the postures are appropriate. And just taking a moment to find your seat. Feel what's comfortable. And if it's accessible to you, you can either lower your eyes or close them. Finding that, starting with just being grounded. If you're sitting in a chair, feeling your feet touching the ground. If you're sitting on a cushion, with your buttocks and your knees touching the earth, or standing. Whatever that might be for you that brings comfort and ease into your body. And beginning to just take inventory, since you are just arriving, kind of checking in to see where there may be some tension or tightness. And if you can, in just this moment, just begin to let it go. lowering your shoulders away from your earlobes. Checking into your neck, that space between your eyes, your jaw, your spine. Your legs, allowing them to be comfortable, your arms resting in your lap, maybe on your knees. Just allowing this time to be your gift. The gift of presence. And as you begin to settle, finding your breath, if that is indeed your anchor, could also be sound. But just settling just a little bit. And then just knowing that the ground and the earth and its energy, it's all medicine rising up to meet you. Allowing your breath to connect to all parts of your body. Your body breathing, your breath breathing your body. Earth element. The mountain. The earth, Mother Earth. Allowing the ease of your head and your shoulders, your upper arms, all of this is earth element. Nothing else needs to be done in this moment. Just finding your breath, your natural rhythm. Feeling the connection. And as the element of air begins to engulf your lungs, the expansion when you inhale, whether it's through your nostrils, through your chest area, or even your belly. Feel the expansion and the contraction on the exhale. Air. Even experience the shallowness or the depth of your breath. Air element. Oxygen, the relationship to all of our environment, our sustenance. The air element. Anchoring. Grounding you. each breath. Inhalation, exhalation, presence. Moving to the heat that might be existing inside your body. The heat of the planet. The smoldering fire within your heart and soul. Resting in your chest area or your belly. Fire element. Feeling the warmth. Circulating. Life. What is your relationship with this fire element? Moving to water. Our bodies making up 60% of water. Feeling the fluidity of what's flowing through your body. Even if it's tension, there's a flow. And upon release, an easing of the flow. Healing energy. Water element. This is the healing that doesn't require any attention, it's just there. It's our connection to the earth. Water element. Staying present in this moment. With all the universal elements that are within us and outside of us. Earth, air, fire, water. If you find your mind wandering, or there's any tension in your body, just visualize one of the elements: earth, air, fire, water. Feel your relationship to that, coming back, returning to the ground of presence. Feeling the connection to your breath and your body, to the stilling of your mind. Recognizing this gift of presence. Just this moment. And then this moment. And this moment. One of our beloved teachers, Thich Nhat Hanh, made his transition this week. I'll share with you a poem called Oneness. The moment I die, I will try to come back to you as quickly as possible. I promise it will not take long. Isn't it true? I am already with you. As I die each moment, I come back to you in every moment. Just look. Feel my presence. If you want to cry, please cry. I know that I will cry with you. The tears you shed will heal us both. Your tears are mine. The earth I tread this morning transcends history. Spring and winter are both present in the moment. The young leaf and the dead leaf are really one. My feet touch deathlessness, and my feet are yours. Walk with me now. Let us enter the dimension of oneness and see the cherry tree blossom in winter. Why should we talk about death? I don't need to die to be back with you. Thich Nhat Hanh. 1927 to 2022. Thank you, Sangha. Thank you for your practice. Thank you for this practice this evening and for showing up and being here. I really appreciate it. You want to maybe do a little stretch or shaking out, that's great too. And find yourself in a comfortable position. Yeah. So this evening, my talk is entitled How the Buddha Dharma Helped Me to Decolonize My Off View. Self view, that's better. Good. I don't need to see me. Hi, Sheena. So one thing I want to start with as I begin this talk, is just talk about the reality of where we are today. Hello, Kitty. And that we are in the reality of pandemic. And I just want a big shout out to everybody who is here, healthy, hopefully. I know you may have friends and family who have been affected by the pandemic. And I have to tell you that for me, we're rolling into going into our third year in March. It's more than a notion, let me tell you. But for me, I have felt this dull ache of wanting to connect more. Outside of these squares that we're in right now, I want to connect a little differently. But I also have felt an incredible exhaustion from being on Zoom and being disconnected. So I just want to speak to this as our reality right now. And it's weary and there's some sadness, but I just like to get real with it. And at this moment, there's nothing we can really do but just try to stay as healthy as possible. But I do want to applaud everyone and just really bring this to the presence of where we are today. And thank you for showing up. So this decolonizing, it's a word that, God, we use it a lot, but let me just give you a little definition of it. Decolonizing is about reclaiming what was taken and honoring what we still have. This takes conscious work and effort. There's a value in actively seeking what was lost, in remembering what was forgotten. Value matters to us as individuals and also as community. And I have this phrase that I use, remember to remember. And I also call it like R2R, remember to be there in our highest state of consciousness. But given what I just said about the pandemic, there's so many things that we just are trying to navigate right now. And so part of our navigation is to remember. Remember our minds and remember our hearts. This term decolonize, we have used it so frequently in today's lexicon. I don't know if you all have decolonize education, decolonize the institutions, decolonize your mind, decolonize the government, defund the police, decolonize your workplaces. This is real, right? This is a way in which we are trying to change and transition from where we have been in our mindset to where we need to be. But one of the things I've also heard a lot of is decolonize the mind, decolonize my mind. And I've been doing a lot of investigation around that because in my introduction, what Ashley told you was that I am the co-founder of a nonprofit called Peace at Any Pace, and we have a program called Deep Time Liberation. And what we do with this is we're really looking at our ancestral and intergenerational trauma that affects those from the African diaspora. So I've been doing a lot of thinking and working with the decolonizing of our minds. And it got me thinking about a man, Malidoma Somea. I don't know if many of you know him. He, West African from Burkina Faso, a shaman, healer. He just recently passed away as well, December 9th. But he speaks about, in his biography of Water and Spirit, he speaks about what he had to rehabilitate his body back into the culture because he was abducted. Uh-oh, my internet's a little unstable. Am I okay? Can you hear me okay? Great.
It went out a little bit, but it's back.
Okay, great. Thank you. But he was abducted as a young man and taken to a Jesuit missionary home. And when he escaped at 17, he went back to his village. But what they said is that he needed to restore his mind because it had been colonized. So he had to go through all these rituals, not just rites of passage, but rituals to land back into his community. Because there is a sense of almost being indoctrinated. And because even the Buddha has said, our conditioned experience, we're all conditioned human beings. So I kind of look at the decolonizing as almost a deprogramming, right? A decentralizing what has become norm for us, but is actually, it kind of lands in the landscape of memories and habits and performative actions. The definition of decolonizing begins with the definition. It begins the journey to transformation. It begins the journey of releasing ourselves from what has been the norm because we're so used to wearing the cloak that feels comfortable to us. And I kind of feel that this idea of decolonizing the mind and heart is really, it's an awakening process. It on so many different levels, internally, externally. I just have to share with you, I'm reading this book. I'll show it to you. I don't know if you can see it. It's called Decolonizing Wealth by Edgar Villanueva. He's a native man who's from North Carolina. And he said something I thought was incredibly profound. He said, I come from a long line of native storytellers and Southern storytellers. Listening to our stories is part of the decolonizing process. And I know in the Buddha Dharma, we're told don't attach to your story. But what I have found is that when we're really looking at healing, our stories gives us permission to begin to extract what has been the norm, what has been the colonized mind. It gives us permission once we know the story. Once we can identify it, then we can disrupt it. We can interject something else into what has been the norm for us. And we're creatures of habit, all of us. This is the human life, right? I go in the closet, I put on the coat, even though it's worn and tattered, it's still comfortable. So we rest in that place that's known, and we kind of have aversion to the things that are unknown. But in the resting, sometimes we're resting in even the inner oppressive mental state. Because why look outside of ourselves for anything other than that? Or look inside ourselves? Because I just want to say that when we begin the process of decolonizing, changing, transforming, it's an inside job. Inside, you got to know who's to know that this is an inside job. The Buddha Dharma and this idea of changing, transforming, decolonizing the heart mind. It's an inside job. We have to rid ourselves of the debris and the clutter. I'm doing that a lot right now because we're moving into spring, so I'm trying to declutter my house, but I'm also trying to be real clear that the groundwork that I'm working in right now is looking at the three evils. I don't particularly like to call them evils, but that's what they're called in the Buddha Dharma: greed, hatred, and delusion. Once we begin to reclaim our mindset, that we no longer have to hold on to the things that the dominant culture has told us is the right way. Because somewhere deep inside us, we know there's a knowingness that we can actually attach, or not attach to, but feel into. There is a knowingness that knows that, oh, this is wholesome and this is not wholesome. We are plagued with our own suffering. Once we begin to uncap and rid ourselves of the suffering, we're somewhat ridding ourselves of our own pandemic. The mind, the colonized mind, the internal narrative that we walk with, it grips us. And it really moves us in the direction not just of transformation, but understanding what is our true nature. How do we look at freedom if we're gripped? I would lend to say it's impossible to do it. And we could sit in retreat after retreat and have our minds absorbed and in total contemplation and concentration. And still, when we walk out of those retreat halls, we walk into our conditioned world, we are still gripped with the internal narratives, the responses, the reactions, all of the things that hold us captive in that mind that is not free. We have to break those patterns, the habits, the cloak, the coat. And it's practice. We got to prepare for this transformation if this is the path we're taking. I want to be on this path. I want to rid myself of the clutter and the oppressive narrative that I have lived with for decades. It no longer serves me. It is as if we have to begin again. That with that beginner's mind, right? Suzuki Roshi's beginner's mind. We need to reclaim, start again, renew, and pay attention to the patterns. Pay attention to when you find yourself gripped. Oh yeah, that's the mindset. There it is again, right? And sometimes it only takes a minute to get gripped, and it takes even a minute to let go. release it. Easier said than done, and I know it. Right? But much like RAIN, which is an acronym that Tara Brach uses, but it was originally brought to being by Michelle McDonald, who's another meditation and Buddhist teacher. Recognize when the mind is tight, gripping. Accept it. Acknowledge it. There it is. Investigate what's on the bottom of it. Is it because it's habits? Is this why I'm back here again? And then nurture it with loving kindness. Not beating yourself up, but ultimately really nurture yourself. And see what's underneath it. Is it fear? Is it habit? Is it that habituation that keeps us going? Is it frustration? Is it rage? Is it pain? All of those things are present in us. That's human nature. We are taught that we don't witness those things, but they fester inside of us. It's like the fire element we were talking about in meditation, right? It's burning. How do you release it? Or how do you just go, oh, that's fire. Got it. And not become dispassionate, but actually start to do the work so that when we leave wherever you might be, maybe this moment of peace and solitude and meditation, that when you go back into your conditioned world, that is the existence of what the Buddha says is the existence of all suffering is our conditioned selves. When we begin to look at that, we begin to free ourselves. And actually, for me, the decolonization of my mind and heart is unlearning. I got to unlearn it. We're taught really well. I mean, we're actually taught to learn by rote, right? How many times I remember one time my mother said, "What is the golden rule?" Man, I repeated that so quickly, right? Do unto others as you would have them do unto you, because I learned it, right? But I didn't really feel it. And so she asked me, no, what's the golden rule? And I have to tell you, I was 40 years old when she asked me this. And I was about to repeat it that quick again, because that's how I learned it, right? There's the habit mind. And instead I said, oh, do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Big lesson, 40 years old. Has stayed with me. But I had to break the habit. I had to break the way in which we do that. Many of you may be familiar with Angel Kyoto Williams, Zen teacher. In their book, because it's several people, Radical Dharma, she writes, we cannot have a healed society. We cannot have change. We cannot have justice if we do not reclaim and repair the human spirit. We simply cannot. Imagining anything different is to really have our heads buried in the sand of 100 years of cultural domination, colonization, the theft of this land, the theft of the people from their land, and the continued and ongoing theft and appropriation of peoples and culture on a day-to-day basis that every single one of us is colluding with and participating in consciously and unconsciously. We cannot have a healed society unless we reclaim and repair the human spirit. Again, not easy. I'm not saying it is. I'm having to be conscious of time. I want to speak a little bit about this decolonizing of my heart, and I'm going to go to the personal place. Because I've had to ask myself these questions. Can I truly and totally free myself if I don't free the shackles that are ripped around my heart, closing it in, constricting it? Can I actually free myself? No. But I can use the framework of the heart practices. I can use the framework of the Eightfold Path, the three baskets, ethics, or sila, wise speech, wise livelihood, wise action. I can use the basket of panya, wisdom or insight, wise intention, wise understanding, or wise view. I can use the basket of samadhi, concentration or meditation, wise effort, wise meditation, wise concentration. I can free my mind and heart if I'm following the prescription. This is the Buddha's prescription, right? There's suffering. There's an end to suffering. Here's the path. These path factors have actually been so instrumental to help me really look at where my heart is constricted. How have I actually been colonized in my heart to close it up to sights and scene and race and gender and people, places, land, environment. Have we become numb, dispassionate, and further away from this loving heart? What about you? Can we use the heart practices, the Brahma Viharas, to kind of look at a pathway to healing? Kindness, compassion, joy from ourselves and joy for others, equanimity, balance. In order to really look at decolonizing heart-mind, we have to look at how do we purify ourselves. It becomes a purification process, stripping away, letting go. Because we all undoubtedly have wounds. We have cultural wounds, we have heartache, right? Breaking of our hearts, whatever that might be. And the entirety of the Buddha Dharma points to our individual and collective suffering. But what it also does is opens the door to really being able to view how we have patterned and conditioned ourselves and have had outside forces condition us. It's left the door open just a little. It's just open ajar. Are you ready? Before I said prepare yourself for your awakening process, prepare yourself to walk through the door so you can begin to feel, the sense of freedom and liberation. Awareness practice, what you are all already in. Touching into the innate goodness and love of who you are. Freeing yourself from the clenched heart, the confused mind, the colonized mind, the constricted mind, the constricted heart. This path, remembering to remember the stories, the colonization, freeing ourselves, understanding, this is the path that calls us home. And again, it's unlearning. We don't have to do this by ourselves. We can do it collectively. But this is the time to do it. It's not time to be complacent any longer. I invite you to find a refuge. Be it in the Buddha Dharma, be it in the free sense of being on the path, whatever that might be for you. Take refuge. Become the refuge. Trust. In Pali, faith is saddha. Have faith that when you walk down this path, whether you're exhausted or you are engaged, find a way to feel that power within you. My heart is freer because I've paid attention. And again, it's practice. It's practice. And it's sometimes I want to throw the baby out with the bathwater, but it's practice. I keep going. So I'm going to stop so we have some time together. Thank you for listening. And as we open it up, I want to just pose a question, and you can ask questions or answer this one. What are you willing to do to free yourself and reclaim your mind and reclaim your heart? What are you willing to do? What is the practice that you want to do that will mostly inform this decolonization of the mind and heart? What are you willing to do? So we'll open it up. I'm going to open my screen up a little bit so I can see you. So anyone can. What are you willing to do?
Hi, Ms. Noliwe. Thank you so
Yes.
much.
You're welcome, Paul.
I think that one of the things that I find I am ready and willing to do to experience more freedom is to to kind of have more to allow myself to feel content, because I feel like that's kind of a subtle way of challenging the internalized push to be productive and work yourself to death sort of thing.
Yeah. I find that we're working more and more. I mean, we're in the, I don't know. I mean, I could catch an email at 10 at night, when you're this is the kind of the change that we've been living through for the past 2 years. And here's the habit. And here's what's expected. And it's almost like in order to maintain a standard, whether it's work or whatever it is, you have to meet that standard. And part of that is a colonizer or a dominant thinking. Work hard, then you achieve. And sometimes it's not healthy for us. A lot of times it really brings more toxicity to us. How do we free that? I love what you said, Paul. Allowing yourself to actually be content. That's radical. Yeah. We don't give ourselves permission. Beautiful. I want to really think on that. That's beautiful. Anyone else have anything to share?
I also had a question.
Sure.
I wanted to know if there were plans for in-person deep time retreats this year.
Well, I have to tell you, Paul, we just this week canceled our April retreat in person. We will have it online in April. But we didn't feel comfortable about setting up the COVID protocol because we take people down to New Orleans and Mississippi. Fingers are crossed that in October we'll be back in person. And I believe this time we probably will be going to Savannah, Georgia, or North Carolina, South Carolina, sorry, because it's one of the largest ports that brought in enslaved people. But we're not going to do it. We just this week we made that decision. We were planning, but it's all about safety and health at this point. Yeah, we'd love for you to even join us online. It's extremely a rich opportunity there too. Yeah. Look at that kitty.
He's Mr. Baby.
Mr. Baby, okay. And he
Yes,
looks at you.
Give him some respect.
Yeah. Yeah. It's Miss Jackson to you. Yeah. That goes back a minute, but
Yeah,
yeah.
I was there.
Yeah. So what are you willing to do to free yourself? To walk the path that isn't the norm?
I really feel the calling to loosen my grip. You know, the fear that's out there, the wanting to control. And, that's, in response to the messages about how, we should all be in control, and, the constriction that I feel in my heart. And I know it's illusory, but even though I certainly have enough resources, for instance, I feel that constriction in my heart to do what I can to hold on to them as I want to, that's the road that I need to take, is to find a way to loosen that grip.
Yeah, it harkens back to really checking in to greed, hatred, and delusion. What am I clinging on to? In Pali, the word for clinging is called tanha. And in English, it's translated as the unquenchable thirst. I keep wanting, clinging, craving. It's actually craving. I want more. And then when you get it, you want more. It's a cycle. And what happens is that, again, it becomes our habit, becomes our norm. Let go. Just like you did when you sat in meditation. That the depth of the breath, let it go. The depth of the clinging and the craving, or the aversion, letting it go. It's renunciation is a word that's oftentimes used in Buddhism. It doesn't mean that you're not going to have anything. It means that actually what you get is freedom. How beautiful is that? Yeah. This feels like we could do this for like another 15, 20, half hour long, because I had so much more to tell you. But next time. Yeah. I so appreciate you all coming, being here, and taking the path that's less traveled. Opening your heart, and I use the word decolonizing Because for me, that's what I've had to do. I've had to take the external views of an outside world and deconstruct it in my own self because I had absorbed it. And now I have to extract it in order to get to that place of walking in the path of freedom. Heart, mind, one, right? Chitta, right? Heart, mind. So let's take a moment and just rest in our breath for a minute, and we'll just close out. I want to really extend great appreciation to Ashley. Thank you so much for hosting us. Thank you for Weekly Dharma for inviting me. I appreciate it. And if we can just close our eyes for a moment, filling into the words that have been spoken, receiving what has resonated with you, and just letting go of the rest. Coming from that place of knowing your wholesome goodness. Knowing the path and the door is open wide. I'll leave you with a poem from John O'Donohue. It's called Metta for the Soul. May you awaken to the mystery of being here and enter the quiet immensity of your own presence. May you have joy and peace in the temple of your senses. May you receive great encouragement when new frontiers beckon. May you respond to the call of your gift and find the courage to follow its path. May the flame of anger free you from falsity. May warmth of heart keep your presence aflame, and may anxiety never linger about you. May your outer dignity mirror an inner dignity of soul. May you take time to celebrate the quiet miracles that seek no attention. May you be consoled in the secret symmetry of your soul. May you experience each day as a sacred gift woven around the heart of wonder. May we dedicate the merit of our practice this evening to freedom. Freedom of mind, freedom of heart, to transforming old patterns and reclaim what is truly ours. May our practice be to the benefit of all beings, excluding none. The two-legged, the four-legged, the winged and the gilled. May our practice this evening continue to light the path to liberation. Thank you, Sangha. Thank you. Thank you for the invitation. Thank you for your presence.
Thank you so much, Noliwe, for offering yourself, your time, your heart, and sharing with us tonight. We so appreciate it, and it was such a wonderful talk. I really, just from all of us, thank you so much.
Have a
Sorry.
Have a great evening, you all. Yeah.
Yes. And we'll be here next week. And actually, Sheena, who was with us this evening, Sheena Brockington, will be leading our open sit. So if you are available next week, please join us. And this recording will be available for you, and you can go back and watch it in a few days. And with that, I just thank you one more time for being with us. And again, thank you, Noliwe, for leading us.
Thank you.
Thank you, Noliwe.
Bye. Bye. Okay.
Bye,
Good night,
everyone.
everyone.